Layer 1 of the definitive group lore Iceberg. Let's go. Gary's Mod is a game played collectively by Drip, Ollie, Pismasa, and D3. It was here that our relationships first began, and where they were developed for a time to come. Over the years, we played it on and off, but we always find ourselves coming back to it whenever the need arises for a mutual get-together. The game itself is known for its high modability, hence the name, and its use as a general vessel for slapstick comedy, games within games, or any other sort of tomfoolery. It's a sandbox.
I'm gonna die, bro.
Halo is a game that is, for the most part, D3's domain. It is a game played primarily by D3, with occasional visits from Drip, Ollie, and Piss. The game doesn't have as much of a presence itself in the group as does the idea of it, thanks to D3's tendency to bring it up in conversation and the others' marginal interest in it because of that. The series itself is a console FPS developed by Bungie and maintained by the company Halo Studios. It's celebrated by the public for its simplistic control scheme, gripping story, emphasis on community-driven content, and, especially for some, its vehicles. The Forest and its sequel, Sons of the Forest, were games played together by each of the four members of the group. We sunk many hours into them, and while they were more restrictive than, say, Gmod, it can be argued that they were unsung heroes of strengthening our bonds and planting the seeds of some of our beef. The games themselves, developed by Endnight, are about surviving on an island bursting at the seams with cannibals and other unspeakable horrors we can, unfortunately, comprehend. It sounds scary at first, until the player realizes they can build log mansions with plenty of their closest friends, or eat the limbs of their enemies for fun. Such things make for a lighthearted and goofy environment. Perfect for stories to bloom.
He's just a Karen. Hold on. We have great service here. Great service.
Right?
Great service. Oh,
Oh,
you see,
shit.
look,
Holy
zero
shit, my
complaints.
health, my
Zero
fucking health.
complaints.
I'm so low.
I think you all know what this is. Hearts of Iron 4 is a game proudly owned by Ali. Starting in roughly 2022, Aldi has used it as a platform for satisfying his RTS itch, modding, and sometimes video editing. He shares his latest activities with the rest of the group, and despite them not knowing nearly as much about RTS games, they still occasionally put their full feet forward in participating in conversation. The game itself, a Paradox Interactive, is a real-time strategy game taking place in the real world. Sometimes. It's got in-depth mechanics relating to smart people things, like economy, warfare, or growing one's political power. Strategy. Seven Days to Die is a game played by all of us. It's a survival game set in a zombie apocalypse where you build, fight, explore, or otherwise goof off in a big open sandbox filled with guns, weapons, melee items, food that looks really good for no reason, all that. Developed by the Fun Pimps, it has been in early access for about 10 years at this point, but that doesn't matter considering how much fun the group has had on it. We've had many stories to tell, thanks to this game, and I couldn't think it enough. Valheim is a game played heavily by D3, Pismasa, and Drip. It was played individually by the former two for a time, but all three eventually played together for several playthroughs. It isn't talked about much, but Valheim has played a huge part in making a connection between these three members. Each of them have played the game for hundreds of hours, and it can be reckoned that over half of that time is for multiplayer. Seriously, they played it a lot. That amount of time can be attributed to the game itself, which is a survival game made by Swedish developer Irongate, in which you play as an undead Viking tasked with fighting the enemies of the Norse god Odin across a theoretical 10th world of Yggdrasil, called, you guessed it, Valheim. The game heavily emphasizes base building, long-term planning for both creative projects and progression, and the importance of teamwork in a hostile world. It's one of those games where there's something for everyone, from the builder, to the fighter, to the farmer, to the logician. Ollie missed out on this particular chapter of our story due to a lack of interest, which is fair enough. Role-playing is the act of playing a role which represents a theoretical character in the midst of a theoretical story or event. It can be done either by yourself, with someone else, or in groups, both in real life and in the virtual world through several interactive means. The group had a tendency to do this a lot, particularly and probably only on Gary's mod. Their stories had a variety of genres, from sci-fi to Old West to surrealism to anything else in their minds. The unique interests of each person created a dynamic experience with each session, assuming things went smoothly. Generally, roleplays either stem from getting a little too immersed in minigames that were already going on, or were even pre-planned. Unintentionally, the group began building up a sort of canon, with recurring characters at the very least recurring themes. Sometimes the roleplays went smoothly, other times not so much. To say the tone of the average story was completely serious is a lie, let's be honest, though it certainly was played that way. Over time, the group kind of has phased out this part of their lore. Makes you wonder, what happened? Because they're humans, the group has a history of disagreeing. A lot. Disagreeing about many things, like what games to play, how to play them, how others are playing it wrong, how others are playing it right, how to create the most inconvenient circumstances possible while still keeping group cohesion, why something isn't actually that inconvenient, why that person is wrong, why we should just play in normal settings, why we might as well just make one slight change because it's technically vanilla but a little better that way because it is, why are we even trying to play this game anymore? This game isn't even fun, I'm gonna get off for the night, and so on and so forth. To any outside person looking in, it may seem a little surprising how we tolerated any of this, but the truth is, all of this effort is a testament to just how much we want to make things work. And while the friction of our radically different interests has resulted in the occasional rift, the payoff when it does work is experiencing a dynamic in which everyone is truly themselves. Sure, it sounds cheesy, but you don't realize how much you appreciate that until it's gone.